Alright, welcome back. Let's keep the ball rolling here with the life and suffering of Sir Brante. I forgot to click on that to the willpower. Adolescence. 1129. A dropped handkerchief. Hot, dry winds sweep through the city from the barren lands around it. The noble residents of Anazate preferred to remain in their chambers, while the commoners huddle in tents or in the shade of the silver tree. You are on an errand right now. Your father wrote a letter to a noble acquaintance, and you are to deliver it. Thomas, the boy down the street, is tagging along. The two of you are inseparable now. The errand is an easy one, so you decide to take this opportunity to loiter around the part of Anazote where the nobles live. So here you are, in the middle of the city square, resting on the ancient brickwork by the old fountain in the merciful shade of the gargantuan silver tree. Thomas is by your side, lazily slouching on the edge of the fountain's basin. It's a hard life for commoners like you and me. Either you break your back in a workshop day and night, hoping someone will buy your goods someday, or you'll become a manservant to some noble. You never get a chance to enjoy life. This is our lot, you remind him. We work and endure and suffer. But Thomas waves your words away. Yeah, I know all that already. Mother keeps drilling that stuff into me. We must be humble. Our strength is patience and persistence. So yeah, I say, but I want to make my fortune no matter what. So how ain't that living by my lot, I ask you? But the lots, they ain't easy. Let's take you, for example, Brante. Your father's a nobleman, but even that didn't make you one. Just look at your hands. You never had to work as hard as me, but we have the same lot, so we're supposed to suffer the same. Or look at your father. He's a judge. He toils in the prefecture day and night doing his judging, and he's a noble? I've never seen an Archnean work as hard as he does. You shrug. The Archneans are a different race. The books say they were born to rule over humans. They are never commoners, always nobles of the sword by birth. They founded the empire by subduing all the human kingdoms on the continent. The humans will never be their equals. Archneans are always better, smarter, stronger, and their skin is a noble shade of blue. Aliens. If the books are to be believed, of course. You have never seen one for yourself. Your idle chatter is suddenly interrupted by a rugged-looking guardsman dressed in black and green. He chases you away from the fountain. Common rabble like you have no place here. You hear the clattering of hooves and wheels against the cobblestones, and see flags bearing a coat of arms, a sable serpent on the field of vert. It makes you squirm. It is the Archduke's coat of arms, the Milanitis dynasty. The carriage door opens, revealing a young lady in a luxurious dress. You cannot look away from her. Those dainty shoulders, suggested but not revealed by the cut of her dress. Her black hair cascading over them. Her stately slim silhouette, her pouty lips and prim nose. And those eyes, dark like the night. The way she moves, fluidly, gracefully. And most incredible of all, her skin glows in azure blue. She is a masterpiece given life. She is an Archnean. Clear the way for me. The Milanitis guardsmen work quickly to clear the way to the fountain for the Archnean lady. The searing sun dances on her skin in bizarre patterns. With one elegant motion, she reveals a handkerchief, then leans over the basin and wipes her head and neck with its cool water. Well, I'll be. It's Octavia Milanitis, our Archduke's own daughter. How'd you know, Thomas? The Archnean turns away and proceeds gracefully back to her carriage. You see something slip out of her hand and fall onto the cobblestones right next to you. Her handkerchief. It is right there by your feet. Intricate craftsman, expensive woven fabric. Delicately decorated with emerald filigree. Your heart skips a beat. Will you dare draw the beautiful Archnean's attention in order to return her lost possession? Or would you rather not attempt to cross the chasm between you and her? Okay. So we can give the handkerchief back to Octavia. We can stash the trophy. We can keep the handkerchief as a memento. Willpower. This gives us willpower plus 1 with Thomas. And this doesn't do much, but it gets us relations with Octavia. I'm kind of thinking I'd like to get this relations with Thomas up, though, my friend here. So let's quickly hide the trophy, planning to sell it later. Octavia finishes her graceful return to the carriage. It takes off, and the carriage disappears from the square. Then you look at Thomas and show him the handkerchief you are holding. It's time to show him how to start earning this fortune. That fortune. Your eyes single out a traveling peddler in the crowd. When you finally get his attention, you pull the splendid handkerchief from your pocket. The peddler smirks knowingly. Finders keepers. And the noble who lost it certainly won't be weeping over it. Truth be told, it is a truly exquisite handkerchief. It still looks quite presentable and will fetch a fair price. After some haggling with the stingy peddler, you trade it for a small fortune. 4 coins. 4 whole coins. Half of the sum you give to Thomas. Well, this was all your handiwork, Angelo. You just grin at him. He can find the next handkerchief. Thomas laughs, and you head off to the fruit stalls together. Alright. Year 1130, spring. The Quorum Decree. 12 years old now, you overhear an important conversation. It is a spring night, and Mother just has sent everyone to bed. You walk past Father's study and hear voices coming from beyond the door. Grandfather is yelling, and Father is replying quietly. The elder Brante men are fighting, arguing about a place of the commoners in the city. You sneak outside to avoid Mother's attention and hide next to the open window of the study. Perhaps they'll mention you too. That low-life idiot has the gall to pay me a visit and beg me for some service. He had the insolence to ask me outright. He thought I was going to support his claim for the chairman's seat in the lesser quorum. How dare he? Father, please listen. Mayor Egmont may be lowborn, but he carries a lot of clout in Magra. He owns 5 iron mines. A friend like him could be quite useful, should he become the chairman of the lesser quorum. I don't give a damn who this Egmont is, Robert. What he is, however, is lowborn. His lot is humility and obedience. The likes of him can never rule anything. They're nothing but a flock of sheep that need a firm, noble hand to guide them. I wasted so many years trying to quash the quorum decree. But that accursed Cornelius Tempest did everything in his power to make the Emperor sign that pathetic screed. And now even low-lifes can wield power. True power, Robert. Just the right to discuss the size of the Archduke's tax, nothing more. That is only the beginning. What's next? Are they going to arm the lowlifes now? Make them into judges? If the Empire rejects the foundations of the lots, the entire edifice will crumble. Bah! Who am I telling this to? It is already crumbling, and you, my son the heir, are the harbinger of its destruction. Father, I'm begging you. I do not wish to marry a 3rd time. Lydia is a good wife and a dutiful mother to my children. If you would only allow her to. I will allow them nothing. Neither Egmont nor that freeloading wench of yours. What will you want me to do next? Live by the laws of the lowborn? I can already see where this is going, and I'd rather run my own sword through my gut than live in a country where nobles and lowlifes share the same rights. My only dream is to see the name of Brante in the Blue Book. But that dream will never come true. They will never call me Venerable El Brante, and it's all because of this marriage of yours. My only hope now is to hear Stephen addressed in such a manner one day. Thank the twins I didn't let you ruin the boy. He's about to grow up a true nobleman. His children will bear the name of El Brante. You have 2 more grandsons. Those spineless milksops from the common lot, they're incapable of anything. The best your middle son could do is sneak into the Imperial College and get ennobled by the mantle, although I have grave doubts about even that. As for the downtrodden Nathan, I hold out no hope for him whatsoever. You hear grandfather's heavy footsteps, the thudding of his cane, and the slamming of the door. It's time to sneak back home before you're discovered. Well, Grandpa is certainly quite the character. A rather nasty character, if I do say so. Okay, 11:30. School begins. You start studying at the school of Sir Tibor and begin to master the sciences. A storm of expectations. Finally, the day comes when the teacher stops coming to the house. But before you can breathe a sigh of relief and put away the books, Father asks you to come to his study. You're grown, my son. It's time for you to continue your education away from home. I've chosen a deserving school for you, Sir Tibor's School for the Children of Noblemen and Well-Off Commoners. Naturally, it is not a boarding school for nobles, so you will study there during the day and come home in the evening. You share the news with your best friend Thomas. Sir Tibor's school, eh? Yeah, I gotta ask my parents to send me there too as soon as they get the coin together. Father says his workshop has toiled day and night for years to save up for my education. The school is based in an ancient estate of Arcane design. The classrooms are tall and spacious, with massive benches. The sounds of scraping quills and lectures of history and imperial law and theology echo under the vaulted ceilings. The rules are strict, the lessons tiring. Restless Thomas keeps getting distracted and several times he gets his hands slapped with a stick for it. Every teacher demands flawless mastery of their subject. Every day, Father asks you about your studies. You have already told him twice how Magra joined the Empire and how the noble's court of honor is different from the commoner's civil court of the city prefecture. But Father keeps pressuring you to work even harder. When it is time to go to bed, Mother will not let you go to sleep until you recite a newly learned prayer for her. And when it is time to go to school, you promise her every day that you will behave with great humility and steer clear of insolent behavior of any kind, for you still live by the commoner's lot, and that lot is hard work and suffering. Your first month at school draws to a close, and the teachers announce that there will be exams at the end of the month to determine the best and worst students in each subject. Father insists that you devote all your spare time to studying law and history if you wish to follow in his footsteps. But when you speak to Mother every day, you start considering theology. You still remember your revelations and divine visions that came to you in your earliest years. You only have one more day until the exam. You have locked yourself away in your room. It is already getting late. Your desk is covered with handwritten notes surrounded by leather-bound books. Just looking at them makes you queasy, but you have to read through all of them again, at least one of your subjects. There's a nagging thought in your mind. Thomas ended up in big trouble the other day. He got in a fight with several boys who lived down next street. They heard about your wooden fortress and got in an outrage by the fortification built by commoners. They swore to dismantle it tonight. Thomas swore he would defend the fortress until the end. Perhaps you should abandon the books to rescue your friend in need. But then you hear your little brother Nathan knocking at the door. He stands there shyly, not saying a word. He often does that, standing still and staying quiet, speechless, until either you speak first or he runs away. But this time he actually says something. The door is locked. Are you okay, Angelo? Is there anything I can do to help? Your head is spinning. This is the last evening before the school exam. If you fail, your family will be very disappointed. You have to refresh your memory on law or theology. Either one or the other. But Thomas and the fort are about to be stormed. Why today of all days? You grind your teeth in rage at the thought. Nathan is by the door, trying not to bother you. He wants to help you the only way he can, for reasons known only to him. Will you accept his help? Okay, let's see. So we can focus on law and history, go help Thomas, study theology, or spend time with Nathan. I'm kind of interested in stacking some of this ingenuity. So, despite these may being the better choices, I'm kind of thinking I'm gonna go help Thomas. You sneak out of the house and run to the wooden fort. Alright, let's do it. You push Nathan out of your room. He cannot possibly help you prepare for the exam. But once you are sure nobody is behind the door, you open the window and climb out onto the yard and over the fence. And then you run like the wind to the wooden fort where Thomas is in peril. The battle for the fort has already begun. Thomas is cornered. He swings a loose wooden plank, fending off 3 boys at once. This is not a fair fight by any means. Your friend is rugged enough to have a fighting chance against 2 of them, but 3 is too many for him to handle alone. Where have you been, Angelo? They are about to smash our fort. Get them. Violence, speed, momentum. You flank the assailants and slam into them at full speed, channeling the cavalry of the holy warriors. You take them by surprise as you pull one of the aggressors away and knock him out with a punch to the jaw. Damn. Thomas cheers you on. You team up and make short work of the remaining foes. Your enemies retreat in shame. Thomas got a black eye, and his knuckles are all covered in blood. But he looks unusually pleased with himself. Couldn't have done it without you. Just look at them trying to tell us where to build our fort. Okay, time to fix her up. Your score in the exams were merely satisfactory, but still well above a failing grade. The family is not too happy with you, but life goes on, and your studies continue. You know you could have worked harder to prove yourself to your teachers, but your wooden fort still stands proud, and that is what matters. Maybe. $11:30 Fall. Noble titles. Your education continues. As you study imperial law, you come to realize that there is a certain hierarchy even within the noble estate. It seems your father's status is not quite equal to that of the more eminent human and Archnean gentry. You return home with the new information at your disposal. Father asks you about school at dinner, as he always does. And what is the difference between nobles of the mantle and nobles of the sword, Angelo? You already have an answer ready. The latter's status is hereditary, meaning that it is passed down from father to son. After the Archneans, nobles of the sword are the most eminent humans in the Empire. They own land and estates, they fill offices of the highest ranks, and the name of their bloodlines are preserved within the Great Blue Book. Nobility of the sword can only be granted by the overseer of the province, or the Empire himself. And how are such eminent people addressed? With the honorific L before their last name, you respond. Sir Augustine L. Bourne, for example. Father pats you on the shoulder, clearly pleased. And what about the Archneans and their status? What have you learned about them? The Archneans stand above all human gentry. They are born to rule over humans regardless of their titles. No L is required when addressing them. They need no honorifics, for their names of their ancient dynasties are all known are known to all. Father nods somberly. Yes, we can never be their equals. Do whatever an Archnean tells you, and never defy them, ever. And what about grandfather and me? Where do we stand as nobles? That is easy. Father and grandfather are nobles of the mantle. The title cannot be inherited, but it can be earned by the commoner as a reward for great service to the Empire in the Legion or as a civil servant. Father suddenly grows quiet and looks you in the eye intently. Yes, and someday you will earn a noble title too, son. All in due time. Lord, I sure hope so, because the commoner life sucks. Sons of Nobility. Sir Tiber's school teaches children of all stripes. Nobles of the mantle and low-born parents can send their sons there. And every passing day, the children of noblemen invent new ways to snub and bully the commoners. Most of the time, the bully leading them is a Diederik, the son of the secretary of the Imperial Chancellery and a self-important Slav. The sons of noblemen never pick on you, however. They know that your father has been ennobled by the mantle. However, Diederik and his retinue soon choose Thomas as their favorite victim. Time and time again you ask your friend not to pay them any mind, but again and again Thomas grows angry and snaps at their self-satisfied mockery. It is early morning. The students are busy flocking to the classroom for the next lesson. You wave Thomas over when you see him. He waves back at you, and then a bucket full of slop splashes on him. Needless to say, it is the work of Diederik and his entourage. You hear his familiar creaky laughter. The tailor's son stinks. How dare he sit next to decent folk? Thomas clenches his fist. You're dead, Diederik. He throws himself at Diederik's haughty entourage, like a soldier ready to wage war. He attacks them first. This is just what they expected, and they are free to retaliate. He barely makes one movement before 4 pairs of hands grab him at once. Diederik sneers and kicks your friend in the belly. Thomas gasps for air and starts coughing. You stand between them and Diederik readies another kick. The nobleman's son cocks an eyebrow. Why do you mingle with commoners, he asks. Your father is a noble of the mantle. You ought to be friends with your own kind, your equals, not the dirt beneath your feet. Behind him 4 boys hold Thomas down as he struggles furiously. The other students are watching you, frozen in fear. Diederik hotly extends a hand to you. He clearly expects you to shake it. What will you do? Well, that will not be happening. I can admonish the nobleman's son, turn him over to the teachers, or challenge Diederik to a fight. Let me think. Well, we have some ingenuity, but we don't have spirituality or nobility. And since I want to do the path of a nobleman, maybe it's time to get a point in nobility. So let's challenge Diederik to a fight. You do not shake his hand. Instead, you challenge Diederik to display at least some dignity by fighting you one-on-one. That is, if he considers himself a nobleman's son, of course. Diederik's face grows serious. There is no way for him to refuse this challenge in public. Diederik makes a sign, and Thomas is released and pushed to the floor. He gets back on his feet, cursing and itching to rush at them again, but you hold your friend back. The teacher of Imperial Law comes into the room just in time. Everybody immediately returns to their seats. A day full of lessons begin. You keep daydreaming of Diederik's face and how you are going to put an end to that nasty smile of his. Let's catch that bastard together and clean his clock. He hurt me, not you. The deal has been made, you tell your friend. This is a matter of your honor now. Thomas huffs angrily but agrees. Diederik is already waiting for you in the narrow back streets of the school, his retinue by his side. You walk forward and give him an opportunity to end this dispute once and for all. This is the nobleman's way. If you win this battle, Diederik and the other children of nobles will never pick on the commoner's sons again. If he wins, you will never stand in their way and protect. You will never stand in their way and protect other students. You will fight him one-on-one. Diederik walks forward uncertainly. You both roll up your sleeves. You raise your fists in a fighting stance. Diederik tries to copy your movements. You hit him first. Diederik does manage to land several glancing blows, but he is fighting a losing battle. He has never been in a real street fight before. Thomas nods in approval. You have learned a lot from him. It does not take long for Diederik to stop fighting back. One more blow, and he squeals and raises his hands. You have won. You turn to the other nobleman's sons with a victorious look on your face. No more teasing. And if anyone else says so much as one bad word about Thomas, they'll pay. Diederik's former retinue disperses silently. Well, a little justice going on in the world. Alright. 13. We are now a teenager. The Silver Tree. Your theology teachers tell you more about Anazote. It is more than just a provincial capital. It is a sacred place blessed by the gods. It is where the twin gods' first disciples spilled their blood, and from that blood grew the sacred silver tree. Its enormous foliage hangs over the city. You see its branches in the sky every day, but you have never approached the trunk of the tree yourself. Today you will be taking your first field trip to the silver tree. Your class is visiting a service in the great temple by the tree's very roots. Thanks to your theology teacher, you and the other students will witness the landmark of the god's advent up close. Everybody is excited. Soon you hear the other boys enter the slums surrounding the church district of Anizote. The roots are pulsating under your feet. They spread underground all throughout the area. Pathetic, cramped hovels of filthy streets surround the trunk of the tree. They are home to paupers, day laborers, and preachers. The people of this district bow humbly to you and point you towards the temple. They seem at peace despite the abject poverty in which they live. All who live directly beneath the tree are filled with the divine grace, your teacher says. People come here to make peace with the world and their fate in it. Your class is unusually quiet. Everyone is listening to the rustling of the leaves and the underground beating of the roots. The sky above you is obscured by the tree's canopy. You find the temple of the twin gods right next to the tremendous trunk of the tree. It almost seems a part of it. There's a crowd there, pilgrims dressed in traveling clothes, paupers and beggars, common people of the city, and an occasional well-dressed noble. There are arguments among some people who are gathered in separate small groups. Many people are wandering around, staring upward at the tree's branches. The tree impresses you with its might and its calming emaciating from it. You are filled with a desire to sit down and think of the world, to learn something about yourself, to touch the silver white bark and hearken to the whispering leaves. You are distracted enough to fall back from the rest of your classmates. You notice a small path. It should take you right to the trunk. A tall red-haired woman walks out of the crowd of pilgrims. She is wearing a worn white robe. She is no longer young, but her face is beautiful and covered in freckles. Her hands clutch a book. You have never seen this lady pilgrim before, yet she looks at you almost as if she has recognized a lifelong friend. She beckons you to you and says her name, Matilda. A preacher from Estinia, where she says next shakes you to your very core. It is commendable to see a young man so keen to learn the teachings of the twins, she says. Yet you will never follow the light of the truth within the walls of the temple. Inside you will only find the lies about the lots, the erring words of prophet Isaiah, sanctioned by the passage of centuries. Yet anyone who sets out to read the accounts of the twins' own lives know that they never so much as mention the lots. The red-haired preacher's words frighten you. They clash with everything you have heard from Mother, everything you have been taught at school. The lots are a lie? You freeze in fear. Should you argue with Matilda? Or ask her for more information? Or should you treat her as a madwoman and catch up with your classmates? You suddenly feel a small, warm hand grasp your own. You see a girl right next to you. She is just a little older than you, wearing a black dress, threadbare yet almost spotless. Her hair is covered by a handkerchief with only a single golden lock showing. Her brown eyes are burning with rage, her hand pulling you away from the red-haired preacher. You stare in confusion at the strange young girl, your cheeks flushed by the sudden touch. There's just a bit of color on her cheeks too, but then she starts speaking to you quickly. Man, we have all these women approaching young Angelo Brante. Don't listen to her, she's dangerous. Come to the temple with me. Only there will you see the truth. You stand there surrounded by the crowd of many praying pilgrims, and the sound of shuffling feet torn between two people you have never seen before. And each of them expects you to follow her. But all the while you hear the whispering of the wind in the tree's branches. The branches reach out to you, almost as if the tree wishes to speak to you itself. Can you hear its voice? Well, no, I do not hear its voice. It is a tree. Oh, so I see. Since we didn't take the ant insight from the childhood chapter, we can't unlock this. So we can leave them and approach the tree. Stay with the red-haired pilgrim. Or follow the girl into the temple. Well, I'm not that interested in spirituality, and this would give me a -1 relation. And this will use willpower, so I'm kind of thinking I'll leave them and approach the tree. The tree, it knows more than any human. The tree is beautiful. The silver-white foliage stretches and spreads towards the sky, held aloft by a trunk so thick it would be a challenge to walk around it. The leaves rustle and whisper peacefully in the wind. The tree, it seems to speak to you. You walk away from the odd-looking preacher and the young acolyte, ignoring them as they call out to you. You walk around the temple and the crowd of people getting closer to the tree with every step. Then you extend a shaking hand and touch the bark. It is unusually warm. You can feel a pulse beneath the roots. The tree is alive. And making noise. The roots are so gigantic, they form large grottos. Spaces of air embraced by the roots and the ground. You squeeze into one of these grottos. It is unusually bright and quiet, shielded from the noise of Anazote. Right now, there is only you and the tree. You sit down. There are leaves rustling all around you. The only noise you hear is the beating pulse of life that flows through the tree. And this pulse beats in time with your own heart. You feel clarity and calmness, free from the doubt and frustration. The tree speaks to you. Or are they your own thoughts, so strange, unfamiliar, and eye-opening? These thoughts speak of soothing love and a crystal clear law, and of love and law intertwining to bring the miracle of life to you. You stop slouching, and your frown becomes a light smile. Hours pass like fleeting seconds. You lose track of time until you overhear someone shouting your name. Alas, it is time to leave this grotto. The sun is setting over Anazote now. The day was quick to pass. Your teacher frowns, ready to scold you. You mumble an explanation and say you are ready to be punished for disobedience. Yet instead the teacher nods in understanding. You keep looking back at the tree all the way home. Whatever happened to you today, you find it difficult to put into words. Alright. Let's change the page. And with that, I will call it here. Some sad music going on. We'll find out what's happening next. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I love you. Not really.